Hello everyone, welcome to part 29 of this series. Today we're going to redo horse riding. We'll make our horse a game creator character so we're less limited, and we can also perform mounted combat. Before we start, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the amazing support. This scene will be made available on Patreon. So here we are in our scene again, and what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a game creator character out of this horse. So we'll keep a lot of what we did before, but we'll make some changes. Now, pros and cons to this. Obvious pros is that if it's a game creator character, well, you can do everything you can as you're used to a game creator. So that removes a lot of the limitations. The other con, though, is that the HAB horse controller honestly is really good. But if you really want to integrate that with Game Creator, you basically have to write some custom code in order to do that. And definitely you'd have to do that to make it work well. Now the advantages here is that we'll be able to use mounted combat, for example. So yeah, there's definitely some pros and cons here, but I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons in this case. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to replacing this horse. Now, before we start, I do want to highlight that right now, as of today, there is a sale on the asset store for Synty assets only, and a lot of the assets we are using in this series, well, all Synty assets we're using in this series are on sale right now. So I'll add a link to the description, which will take you to the page, and you'll see everything that's on sale. Yeah, like this horse, like the buildings we're using, like the characters, everything literally is on sale. So if you were still missing out on a couple of things, this is the right time to jump in. Anyway, let's get started. So first things first, on the horse, I'm going to right click. Let me open him up. There we go. Right click, game creator, character, player. Let's reset those skills to, there we go. And what we're going to do in Polygon horse, we're going to select a model, and we're going to select this model. So we're not going to drag in a prefab here. We're literally just going to drag in a model, and we're going to I'm going to use a different material as well. So now that he's placed correctly, let me drag him out, close this one just for a bit. And as you can see, we still need a material, so let's select all of this material first. And you can select whatever you want. Obviously you can go unicorn as well. But I'll keep it neutral. I think the default material I used didn't really fit the scene anyway. So there we go, really plain and simple. Going to rename him as well. So horse player. Going to change this tag to untagged. I don't think it's wise to put him as a player. Going to turn off is controllable, can run. Speed, I don't know, 8 run speed. Can jump, turned off as well. I'll explain why in a bit. Yeah, acceleration, that's all fine. We'll change the default state to a new state. Foot decay off, hand decay off, and all of that stuff. There we go. Now keep in mind, this obviously is a generic model, so that's why all of these need to be turned off. So yeah, that's all good. Then next up, when it comes to the the character controller, yeah, there's it's a bit hard to find the right place to put it, right size. Play around with it a bit and see what works well for you. But yeah, obviously it's not really made for different types like this one, so you'll have to play around a bit with that. But that's not really the focus, so I'll skip that. So next up, we are going to keep the mount trigger. So I'm just going to move it. I'm not going to copy it over. We're not going to keep the original anymore. And on on the actual model, we are going to move over the mount points as well. So maybe that's one too many. There we go. So these mount points are going to be moved over. There we go. Now if you remember what these were, this is what we actually parent the player to in order for it to look halfway decent. So perfect. I'm not going to remove this horse just yet, I'll keep it for now. We don't need the mount triggers, you know, because they're not part of Game Creator. They're all Horse Animset Pro. All of this, all Horse Animset Pro, so we're not going to use any of that. So I'll just turn it off for now. I'll still keep it for a moment. And there we go. Now, yes, obviously there's a lot you can do here. You can add stats, you can give him his own health, all of that. So all of that is now suddenly possible, which is obviously really cool. We'll need to make sure that we set a new target for our camera motor. So I'm going to drag in the horse player here. We'll keep everything else the same. I'm pretty sure that was alright. So yeah, we're good there. That's nice. Then next up, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the player and we'll copy a couple of things over and then make some changes. So I'm going to copy over movement, combat, and horse riding. So copy and paste. There we go. And the reason for that is we'll change a bit how the actions actually work in order to mount the horse, etc. But we also need the horse to have his own movements, his own jumping, which I'll explain in a bit as well. But basically, you know, we have a new Game Creator character here. So when it comes to all of his controls, we can just set him up exactly the way we want to. So I'm doing it like this. You obviously don't have to. That's the nice thing with using an actual Game Creator character. We have a lot of freedom in, well, choices here. Cool. So before we set any of this up, I'll make sure we have a correct state. And it's just dragging and dropping in animations, so I didn't want to delete that. I'll just show you the animations that have to go in, because that's honestly just the easiest thing to do. There's just no point for me to delete it just to drag and drop all the time. So default state, and I'll show you how the state is created as well. Horse locomotion, and there we have it. So if you want to create a new state, I'm pretty sure you already know how to do it, but just do right click, create, Game Creator, characters, and locomotion state. And then we'll get this one. All of these animations are still from Horse Animset Pro, so this is the location, so where you can find them all. And these are the ones I'm using, and I'm not even using them all, but I just dragged in a couple. But yeah, basically, you know, copy this over to get similar results. There's so many animations, so you can use different ones as well. I know there's galloping as well. I'm not really familiar with horse terms, so I thought these worked well, but you know, that's up to you. You can change the animations. So we'll still use all of the Horse Animset Pro animations. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them, in order to get everything right. When it comes to the idols, there's a couple of different ones. Really cool, so you know, you can pick whatever you want. Cool, so once you're done with this, we'll head back over to the actual character, and we'll start setting up a couple of things here. So first things first, on the player, we're going to be changing some of the conditions for horse riding. So our move to marker, etc. will still be the same, so that's pretty nice. I'm just going to drag set player IK, feed IK as false. Now there's one thing I did notice, this simply doesn't work for head IK, and considering we are you know, using traversal as well, I'm just going to turn it off because it also clashes with traversal, and you'll see it actually fixes our, you know, head rotation issue straight away. So it will actually make our actions a bit shorter, which is obviously really good. So this will remain the same. So feed IK, move player, player in mounted mode. We'll still use the same mounting animation as well. So yeah, we're pretty good there. I'm going to turn this around. We're then going to wait. So I'm going to do a wait of 1.5 seconds, and that's the length of the animation. We can remove this action completely, so we don't need to enable a component anymore. The transform is still the same because we just dragged them over, and you know, an advantage of not copy pasting basically. Change camera, so we'll keep that the same. However, I am going to well, no, 0.5 is fine actually. We'll keep that the same. False component, character controller, we don't need to do that either, so we can again just remove that. We'll remove this weight as well. So yeah, it's as you can see, it's quite a bit shorter. Now we are going to add something else though, so player head track marker can go as well. So we are going to add the following, so property horse player is controllable. So we'll keep that, yeah, we'll keep that about, no, that's a bit too far. We'll keep that here. So after the weight, that's the important part. And yeah, we're good. You know, that's pretty much all we have to do. Now, we're going to keep this, but we're going to change it to something else. So we're going to be turning off combat here, and there we go. So we don't want the combat actions of the player. You know, we want to use the different combat actions. So we'll change it like this. Now everything we have in else, I'm going to choose none because we won't be using that. So all we're really using here is the condition that we are using horse riding. Now I do want to highlight that we'll have to do the same here. So we're going to duplicate a couple of times. We'll for now just turn off magic as well. And what else should we turn off? There we go. We'll turn off call horse as well. So reason for this is because we are still using game created characters, we'll need to make sure that we don't use the same actions. So that's the reason for that. So pretty simple. Now that we've done that, we can go back to our actual horse, and when we're going to movement, actions, we're going to select character, we're going to drag in this, again character, and drag in our horse. And here we are going to do something interesting, and I do want to explain this. So basically the jump animations for that are included in Horse Animset Pro are just really different. They don't work the same as the default jumping animations. So that's why jumping is going to be turned off, and we'll manually basically create it. That's kind of the idea here. So you know, what we'll do for that is we'll add the following. So we're going to do a state here, and we don't we're just going to use an animation clip, so nothing all that exciting. Make sure we select character and we drag in our horse again. Then we're going to do a wait of 1 second because that's how long the animation takes. And we'll do a paste and we'll do reset. There we go. And this animation is the following. And make sure you select the baked version. Now let's open it up, and yeah, we can drag in, most likely drag in this one. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, the baked is actually in place. That's the interesting thing here, the important thing. And if you look at the normal one, so we select this one, he is actually still moving, as you can see. So there's small movement. So that's why we need to use the baked, because that's in place. That way, if we're standing idle, walking or running, we'll still have our, vertical movement as well. So that's why we need to make sure we keep this one. Check these settings. I don't think loop should actually be on. So I'll turn that off. I'm not really sure why that was on. There we go. Cool. So yeah, back to movement. So this is what we're doing, and yes, we are also going to be using a element. Now I'm going to, let's look that up. So yeah, what we need to do first actually is let's set all of these to 0, and there we go. So all of these actions are now actually placed under the horse. And with the element for the vegetation engine, our horse will actually be displacing the grass as well, which is a nice touch, obviously. Cool, so we've got all of that, so we're good there. Now the horse riding actions, we can just actually turn these on. They'll be slightly different, so a lot of it will be really similar. So I'm just going to drag in actions 1, so this is the resetting, and we'll remove the other one because we don't need it anymore. And this is only if horse riding is true. So that's the really simple condition here. Now we're still going to be using a lot of the same things, so not a lot of things here will be changing. So we're still changing the camera motor back to the default. We can remove the head track because again we don't need that anymore. Player clears parent, that's still going to be the same. Now false component, we can remove those, so that's a nice thing. We'll have our reset, still the same. Wait 1 second, still the same. Player feed IK, that's going to be turned back on. And everything else is going to be really similar. However, we are going to duplicate a couple here. And we're going to turn all of these back on. So combat, magic, and call horse are all going to be turned back on. And yeah, we can remove this one as well. There we go. So pretty much exactly the same, so hardly any difference here. But this time we are keeping this on the actual horse. So small change. As you might remember, we had to turn it back on again in the actions. It was a bit of a thing, and yeah, we won't be doing that anymore. So yeah, we're all covered there. We're all good there. So that's all fine. So next up, I should have actually done this before. So we're actually creating a condition here. I should have thought of that. That's okay. We'll remove these actions, and in conditions, let's drag these in. There we go. So let's copy this over and we'll paste it here. So the reason for this is we want to make sure that, if the player's jumping, then suddenly, the horse wouldn't be jumping either. That would be a bit strange. So when it comes to combat, we'll be doing something really similar, really. So for now, and you can expand this if you want, I'm going to keep this simple, and I'm only going to keep melee combat. You can obviously just expand it to contain anything else. So on the sword, on the horse, we'll have melee, and that's pretty much it. So let me remove all of these other triggers. And this one as well. So this will be our condition. So it's going to be exactly the same. So is horse riding true? So let me paste that in. We don't need is armed. In this case, it won't do anything. And we'll be dragging up these actions, or these ones apparently. There we go. We'll remove these as we don't need them. And obviously you can do the same with the bow, that's the whole point. You can obviously do that, but I'm just going to keep it simple for this one. But as you can see, we can do whatever we want. Now I'm going to set this to B. That's the important part. We do want different attacks to happen, so not the same attacks. So we need to set that up as well. So we'll definitely do that. But we can keep it to the same button. That's the nice part here. Cool, so that's it for all of the basic things here. Not much else has to be set up. So let's look up our sword weapon. And again, this is something I already did set up, but I'll show you how to do it. So what we're going to do, as you can see, you need to add a new clip here. Remove this and set it to B. So that's it. And we need a new horse attack clip. So right click, game creator, where is it? Game creator, melee, and melee clip. So I have this one, it's called horse attack, and we are using this horse Animset Pro animation. So here we go, rider, so it's right forward sword attack. And the important part is that we use a avatar mask to mask the lower body. Now, if you have any of the example scenes installed, which you definitely should, you'll have plenty of these masks. And basically what they do is they mask the lower body, including the hip, which is needed in order to make sure we remain on the horse. So quite important. Extract the root motion. And I didn't really change anything else here. I kept it pretty much the same. But again, something you can play around with. And what this one looks like is basically this. So you can use another one if you want. You can use this one instead. Whatever makes you happy. So that's it. That's literally all we're doing with that as well. So we'll keep it on the same sword. It's just mapped to B. So that's the nice thing with the melee module. So yeah, pretty much anything else will remain the same, so not a lot will change here. Now the only thing, we did set up a call horse before and move this horse, so we need to make sure that's the new one. So horse player, there we go. Quite important, obviously, that we keep that the same. And yeah, anything else on the horse is going to be really similar. I'm not really sure if there was anything else. No, I think that's pretty much it. So we're good there. So everything else is set up. So I'll give this a go, and maybe I missed something, but we'll find out in a bit. Let me just double check if this is set properly. We should be good. I don't think I missed out on anything here. So I'll make sure to turn on user interfaces, by the way. There we go. So I'm going to head over to our horse, and yeah, sorry if it's the editor is a bit slow. I haven't restarted in ages. There's our horse. Now I'm going to already pick up the sword and equip it. I just want to show you that it works. I mean, it's not going to be anything spectacular, but yeah. So mount. And as you can see, you know, we're horse riding, all of that really cool, really good. Jump. Oh, there's something I need to change. So still made a mistake with the jumping. That's all right. At least something to fix. And I did find the sprinting animation to look a bit odd, but I mean, it really is the, you know, horse Animset Pro sprinting animation. So not really sure about that, but yeah, I'll have a look at the I'll definitely have a look at the jumping. Cool, but yeah, as you can see as well, you know, it looks a bit odd. Maybe you should try one of the others. But we have melee as well on the horse, so that remains the same. You can obviously have a lot more animation impact, so you can change you know, the way the player is moving a bit on the horse as well if you want. So when jumping, for example, you could change the player animation as well. Yeah, I need to look that up. Not sure what I did wrong there. But yeah, that's it. You know, all working. So let's have a look at the actual jumping. So let's have a look. What did I do wrong with jumping? Did I accidentally select the wrong animation anyway? Could have been the case. No, it's still the right one. Maybe I should not have turned these off, I'm not really sure. Yeah, it seems like that's the case. So turning off the loop time seems to unfortunately impact the movement. That is a bit strange. Don't really have an explanation for that, that's a bit odd. But at least that's why I didn't notice it the first time, the first try. There we go. Now the reason I'm drawing the sword, you know, before getting on the horse has a good reason as well. And there we go, jumping is normal. So fixed, that's perfect. And this is the nice thing, you know, we'll stay in place. If we walk, we'll jump forward anyway. And if we sprint, we're jumping forward as well. So really cool. Yeah, I like this. And as you can see, we're still impacting the grass as well, which is really nice. Now, I do want to explain a bit why, you know, why these changes. Horse Animset Pro obviously is an amazing horse controller, and it's simply so we still have access to all of the game creator actions and options. This simply becomes a new game creator character, so we can add stats for health. You know, we can have bow and arrow combat. Basically, we're removing all of the restrictions we had before. Even making the actions a bit simpler, as you can see. But the nice thing here is that we can, you know, add all of the actions we want as well. So we can add really specific things just to the horse. So I've had, you know, people ask a bit about, you know, mounted combat, other horse options, and this seemed like the best way to make sure we still had access to everything Game Creator offers. Yes, there is a slight downside when it comes to the horse animations, as obviously Horse Animset Pro does this really well, But at the same time, I do not think that's a worthy trade-off to just lose out on everything else Game Creator offers. So, hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.